Liberty Caucus. It's sort of a club of whose members are Republican Party, but are oriented in a more libertarian direction and sort of anti-statist and anti-plutocracy and more accountability and transparency and so forth and so on. And so we're sort of one of the reform groups with the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm. So you think that the answer is to work within the two parties rather than try to establish viable third parties?
That's the best hope. I mean, you look at these parties. Parties are controlled from the ground up by essentially precinct committee persons. Those are set out there in the statute. And at any time, if there's a popular wave of people who are willing to serve as precinct committee persons, they can, through democratic processes, seize control of a party. And indeed, you saw quite a bit of that with the Paul campaign. There were a lot of people who were behind Ron Paul, and some of them, got in control of state parties, and this was, quite something that the National Party didn't really like very much.
They were pissed.
They were pissed, and so there's a whole lot of conflict. But that shows reform, and out of it, I think people are beginning to mend fences and realize that the Ron Paul folks have some sensible things to bring to this, and that we got to get along in the Republican Party and adopt a more hands-off thing. I mean, my thought on this stuff has always been, this one-size-fits-all thing is just terrible for everybody. I mean, if the people in Portland want to smoke dope in the streets, it's Portland. Well, in Wallowa County have to say about that. And if the people in Wallowa County want to shoot the wolves that might eat their kids waiting at the bus stop, what is that business of the people in Portland? Part of the problem is, Americans have lost this wonderful idea of citizens who are willing to leave each other alone, and everybody wants to be some busybody controlling everybody else. Mm-hmm. And that's part of what's driving this cancer of regulation and control.
The debates, I don't know who controls them, but Ross Perot got into the debates and he changed the whole dynamic. Wow. And of course, that's why they're not allowed in.
That really goes back, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it was 92, but it's been that long since we've had any, Ralph Nader tried it.
But there's an example of money in politics. Here's a guy, Perot, made a whole lot of money himself.
Multi-millionaire.
And I think he got in there, and I regret that he was able to, to enable a Democrat to triumph, although, to be fair, Bush had broken his promise not to raise taxes. Read my lips, no new taxes.
Read my lips, vote for him, huh?
Right. And so, but Perot was his own man, and he warned us what was going to happen. Remember the giant sucking sound?
Yeah.
Those are all your jobs, disappearing. And lo and behold, Perot was right.
Yeah, Clinton's the one that signed NAFTA, which brings up...
We are sort of... History repeats itself in cycles. And we have a situation where the government gets more and more and more powerful, and your rights and your freedom of action become less and less. Everything you want and need costs more and more. This is happening not by accident. This is happening, it is the product of bad governance. It can be fixed with goodness. Okay. And if you don't wake up and start electing people who want good governance and who want to fix these systems instead of just raising the taxes, raising the fees, and raising your costs, you are going to suffer for it.